ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Thursday, February 12th, and your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line this hour brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop at 304-396-TALK. That is 304-396-8255. We got a lot to still get into last night. The Thundering Herd on the road, getting the win over Old Dominion. Herd was down by 17, coming back after a 17-point deficit to win. Marshall trailed by 17 with 17 minutes and 23 seconds left, and then Marshall just took that game over. Thundering Herd getting the win. Marshall now improving to one game back of the leader, which is Appalachian State. The Thundering Herd now 8-4 in Sun Belt play, 16-9 overall, and also takes a 17-16 lead against Old Dominion in that series. It's been back and forth. Marshall has won 3 straight. So the Thundering Herd, one game out of first place. We were talking about yesterday, and we've been talking about it really consistently, that Marshall's got to try to lock in one of those top 4 spots. And Marshall has quietly gotten itself back, and I knew some things would have to happen, but Marshall has quietly gotten itself back into a spot where it's a game out. And you've got Appalachian State still on the schedule. The Thundering Herd has an opportunity here. If Marshall can win out, and that's a big if, it's tough to win on the road. Coach Jackson has said that time and time again, and Marshall still has a lot of action left on the road. But with that said, Marshall's going to be on the road taking on Georgia State. It's going to be a late game Saturday night. We're going to have it for you right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. And the Thundering Herd, if Marshall can all of a sudden find a winning streak on the road, I like Marshall's chances at home. Georgia Southern's beatable. You got South Alabama. You have App State. That's going to be possibly a showdown for the top spot. Coastal Carolina, a rematch with Old Dominion. You have Georgia Southern again, a rematch there. And so you have an opportunity here for, honestly, for a shot, at least a tie maybe? I haven't done the math yet, and honestly, I'm not going to do it at this point. But all I can tell you right now is that the Thundering Herd is one game out of the lead in the Sun Belt. And by the way, we're also keeping an eye on Team USA taking on Latvia right now, preliminary round of the Olympics, and USA is leading Latvia in hockey 5-1. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. That's happening real time here as we talk about Marshall and, of course, Old Dominion. So we'll get your text in, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930 as the Thundering Herd and the Georgia Southern Eagles now will meet up on Saturday. That game's going to be on ESPNU. That could mean a lot. Interesting enough, the way this schedule plays out for Marshall, and I said, App State's on the schedule, and Marshall's already beat App State. That's the plus right there. Marshall has already beaten App State. And I have no doubt in my mind that Marshall can do it again. And honestly, the way Marshall was able to come back made me feel a lot more confident because Coach was making some adjustments. This team figured out a lineup that worked against Old Dominion. And also Troy losing helped. Texas State got the win over Troy 74-62 last night. Arkansas State just destroyed UL Monroe 103-70. But App State beating this Georgia Southern team 81-65, Marshall's next opponent. Tonight, it's going to be a little interesting as well because we've got Georgia State and James Madison, Coastal Carolina, Louisiana, and then South Alabama and Southern Miss. And then Saturday's action, of course, we know Marshall, Georgia Southern, but App State and James Madison, Troy and Southern Miss. Troy's at Southern Miss. App State's at James Madison. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say App State and Troy win those games. I'll possibly go that far with you. But as far as the standing is concerned right now, Marshall has a legitimate chance. I don't think we're satisfied now with finishing top 4. At this point, I think the real answer here is, can Marshall win out? Can Marshall win out? And that will include a win over App State because App's 10-4. Troy is a half game back at 9-4, and then the Herd's one game out at 8-4. South Alabama and Texas State are probably the other two teams, and maybe Arkansas State. Throw them in there as well. You got maybe 8 teams. I'll throw Coastal in there just to be fair. You've got 8 teams all contending for those top 4 spots. Coastal and Arkansas State are 2.5 out. And then Texas State is 2 out. South Alabama is a game and a half out. And then Marshall's a game out. And Troy's a half game out. This is going to be pretty tight. So if Marshall can finish in the top 4, that's going to be good for this postseason tournament. If Marshall can finish champion, regular season champion, all the better for the Thundering Herd. It still doesn't mean you're going to get anywhere. You have to go out and win that tournament. That's the big thing. If you don't win the tournament, then anybody's guess where you end up if you get a postseason opportunity. So Thundering Herd now on the road at Georgia Southern. Late game. Marshall will get back really late on Sunday, and then you got to turn that around. You get the Monday game. So Thundering Herd right now, Coach Jackson's kind of putting that underdog mentality on this team. Hey, we got to play 3 games in 5 days. We got to play this crazy schedule, and we've got a gauntlet. I think he's doing that partially to make sure that he's got his team's attention. That don't let up. The league has got you scheduled this way. You don't see that very often. I feel like there's just a little psychology going on there. I don't think he would bring that up just to bring it up. It's not a woe is us. Hey, we got to do this. It didn't feel like whining to me when he says it. It feels like it's just a subtle reminder. Hey, you guys have got to come and show up. We got this tough road schedule. We got this tough schedule, and just how many games that we got to play in a certain amount of time, and we got to make sure that we're rested. He's pointing that out as well. Obviously, the typical coach stuff, but I really don't think that this is him just saying, hey, woe is us. We've got this terrible schedule. Yeah, we'll be lucky to get through. It's hard to win on the road. No, I think he's subtly reminding the guys, look, nobody cares. You get this tough schedule. You're going to have to show up every game. So we'll break this one down with you further. We'll also take your text, 304-396-8255, 304-396-TALK. That is our text line to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. How many of you actually quit listening to the game last night? Be honest with me now. Judgment-free zone. Be honest with me. How many of you just, when it was 17 points, that was the deficit, how many of you are like, okay, I'm done. They're not coming back. We've seen this before. Marshall's done. I'm done. We'll see you on Saturday. How many of you bailed out on the game? And it's okay if you did, because you're watching it, you're probably listening to it, you're like, yeah, I'll just get the final score. And maybe you were not as actively listening to it, and all of a sudden the Herd starts coming back, and you're thinking, oh, wait a minute. Maybe they got a chance here. And when they get it to single digit of a lead, maybe they got a chance here. And then when Coach changes the lineup, and he found a lineup that worked against Old Dominion. He had Fricks in there, he had Dubinsky in there, he had Joseph, Hollenbeck, and Spear. So that was basically his ride or die with this lineup. And then you got Noah Ashuti on the bench. Noah with 18 points sitting on the bench. He was 7 of 12 from the field. He 3 of 4 from the free throw line. I mean, he had 1 3-point attempt. He made it, but he didn't have any rebounds. He had 1 assist. He had 3 turnovers. So he's out there 21 minutes. And 18 points now sitting on the bench. And it worked. It absolutely worked for the Thundering Herd with this lineup change. And Coach admitted, went to zone instead of man-to-man, tried some different things out, gave him some different looks. I thought Coach adjusted well. He found the right lineup that worked. I thought Marshall was a little bit more aggressive, fast play. I like it. hopefully Marshall can do it again. So we'll break it down with you further. We're going to get your text in, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 on this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Mark Porter Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is having a President's Day sale. What a sale it'll be. With all the snow, our vehicles are stacking up. 2025 Ram 2500 heavy-duty pickups save up to $15,000. 2025 Ram 1500 save up to $17,000 and 3.9 for 72 months. 2025 Jeep Wrangler save up to $10,000. 2025 Jeep Gladiator $9,000 off. 2026 Jeep Compass save $5,000 off. Shop 24 hours at markportercdjr.com or markporterram.com. 2026 Ram 1500 save up to $11,000. Car Ferry says no one sells for less. 2026 Chrysler Pacifica minivan save $6,000. 2026 Jeep Grand Cherokee L save up to $7,500 cash off. 2026 Dodge Durango up to $5,000. All new Grand Wagoneer and all new Jeep Cherokee in stock. 2026 Ram 2500 pickup save up to $7,000. Come to Mark Porter CDJR Route 32 and Mayhew Road Jackson or Route 7 and Laurel Cliff Road Pomeroy. We need your trade. See us today. Sale ends March 2nd. All rebates to dealer.
Looking for midweek fun? Head to Frank's Place, where every night's a party. Wednesdays are full of brains and brews with trivia night. Grab your crew and show off what you know. Thursdays, crank it up with Singo Bingo. Music meets bingo for prizes and laughs. Then Fridays, we hand you the mic for karaoke night. Sing your heart out and start your weekend right. The fun never stops at Frank's Place. Great drinks, great friends, and good times. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check them out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
At Poca Valley Bank, a handshake can still mean the start of a great relationship. We've been greeting customers with a handshake since 1908. Why settle for less? If you're purchasing your first home or planning for your future, Poca Valley Bank is here to support you with personalized service and local expertise. They are your trusted advisors. Why settle for less when you can experience banking with a team that truly cares? Poca Valley Bank, where relationships matter. Visit PocaValleyBank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Stuck in a state of falling behind, struggling to keep up with kids, finances, insurance, and life? Well, let your State Farm agent help you simplify and get to a better state. With State Farm handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time to handle everything else. More money, too. Adding State Farm policies can earn discounts that could add up to 40% and help you get ahead. Call an agent today and get to a better state with State Farm. In Huntington, Jeff Smith, 304-781-1234. And in Wayne, Vicky Tabor, 304-272-5149.
Kinder Communications is proud to welcome WSAZ to our family of stations. When you listen to your favorite Kindred station, you'll hear the trusted voices from WSAZ you know, with the WSAZ First Alert, forecast, and the latest news. WSAZ and Kindred Communications, working together for the Tri-State.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes two. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Miss an episode? Catch it anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We continue on with this Thursday edition of Your Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Let's go to the text line. Texter wants to know, Paul, what did you say to Corny at halftime to turn that team around? I don't know if Coach was actually taking my text at halftime. I think he was a little busy. But I told him, change the lineup. That was me. Absolutely. So, look, put Fricks in, put Dubinsky in, Joseph, put Hollenbeck in, put Spear. Just let those guys cook together. Maybe get some stops, play a little faster. I told him hit more threes, by the way. Thundering Herd in the second half, 7 of 11 from the three-point line. I said, get stops, hit threes, change your lineup, play faster. You'll win the game, Coach. And he was like, yeah, you know, you're right, Paul. I should listen to you more. No, that's not what happened at all. I appreciate the text, though. No, I wish I could claim some of this. That's what happened, though. The Herd got better. I didn't think Marshall was bad in the first half. That was the thing. Marshall was 14-30 in the first half. They shot 47%. I didn't think that was bad. Old Dominion was better, 21-34, 62%. Yeah, they were much better. Also, 3 of 10 from the three-point line. That's not good, 30%. Old Dominion was 60%. Now, it was 3 of 5, but still. The free throw line really not a factor that first half. 2 of 5 for Old Dominion, 3 of 5 for the Herd. Second half, maybe just a little bit of a factor, 8 of 12 there for the Herd. And, oh, by the way, with 10.8 seconds on a 1+1, Spear misses, and I'm almost in that mindset like, oh, no, I hope this isn't the reason. That kid will just – I don't know how he's going to take that because he'll put that on himself. And the other thing is that big kid, you know the one I'm talking about, number 35, Swanton Roger, that big kid, 15 points. He had like 10 early, didn't have an answer for him, and then he starts getting in the foul trouble. That helped immensely for the Thundering Herd. Texture says, Paul, that was a fun second half last night. This team needs to step up in the first half the way they have been in the second, and they'll be tough. Free throws continue to hurt them, though. Go Herd. That last second shot there, 10.8 seconds, I'm sitting there thinking, no, not again. Absolutely. I'm with you. Appreciate the text. Again, the free throw line, 11 of 17, 64.7%, 8 of 12 in the second, 3 of 5 in the first. Wyatt Fricks is 2 of 5 from the three-point line. He was 8 of 14 from the field, 24 points, 13 rebounds, all in the defensive glass. He had an outstanding performance. Free throws, 6 of 10. Noah Schutte, 3 of 4. Caleb Hollenbeck, 1 and 1. Jalen Spear, his one and only, was a miss. And then Landon Joseph, 1 and 1. So at the end of the day, that free throw that is a miss is amplified because of where it was in the game. But if Marshall does come out in the first half the way it did in the second half, I think this is a tough out. You're right. I agree with you completely. Texter wants to know, any word to why Bob Huggins was at the last home game? I find it fishy considering he bad-mouthed Marshall for years. I know there's that new documentary out. I haven't really seen it. I saw the trailer for it about Bob Huggins. So I know that's out. I don't know if he was making the rounds for that, to be honest with you. Also, I know he knows people at Marshall, and he was in town, so maybe he was invited. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't have a problem with it though. But he's got this documentary coming out, or there is a documentary coming out about him. And so maybe he was doing the rounds. But you know what? Also it could just be, hey, I'm in town, I'm in the area. I know a few people. I don't have to hide it now. Maybe I do like Marshall. I'm going to come out, hang out and watch the Herd. And also, I really don't take too much stock into the whole bad-mouthing Marshall, because I look at it like the WWE. You got faces and heels. Now, for the WVU fan base, he was their face. And for the Marshall fan base, he was a heel. So he's going to play to his audience. I play to the audience. Absolutely. I know who my audience is. It's you guys. And obviously, you know, I have the best audience in the world, so I'm going to play to you guys. But no, be all honesty and be serious about this. As the head coach of the West Virginia University Mountaineers, there is that expectation, even though Marshall and WVU are not, air quotes here, rivals. there is that underlying rivalry between the two institutions that's much deeper than just athletics. The two institutions have been rivals for years. In the state legislature, sides have been taken for years. I can remember listening to radio on the way back home from Charleston or other parts of the state after a West Virginia Marshall game, and the fan base for the Mountaineers wishing that Marshall University just did not exist because in their minds it took away from West Virginia. I've heard that kind of stuff. Hey, this is taken away. We're losing out of stuff, money, everything because Marshall University is a thing. And absolutely, I think that it's gotten a lot better. There's an interesting article. I'll give props to Dave Wilson. Dave, good friend of the program, host of Metro News Talk Line. He's working the state legislature right now. He's in the, as it's called, the belly of the beast. And he had an interesting article up on WVMetroNews.com talking about the actual cooperation between the two institutions, where before you didn't have that. And now, the two institutions are working together to honestly play to each institution's strengths and make sure that higher education is actually a priority instead of trying to work against each other, working together to fill all the needs in the state of West Virginia. And I think a lot of that's because of Brad Smith. He's done a tremendous job of bringing a new direction, finding where Marshall needs to be, and then putting the university there. I mean, go where you need to be. And you're seeing new dynamic programs happen at Marshall University. I mean, I always felt like Marshall could be an institution that offered opportunities that maybe didn't exist. And so you're seeing that more now. So I'm not that hung up on Bob being at Marshall. Texter says, Paul, I bet Hugs and D'Antoni didn't speak. LOL. I'm sure most dislike comes from the upper admins also, not just the coaches. Hashtag no country roads. Appreciate the text. Love that guy. You've seen it. Rich Rod originally, like, hey, you want to play Marshall? Yeah, I'll play Marshall. And then they got to him. Oh, no, I'm not playing Marshall. Not at all. No, what are you talking about? And then every other sport outside of the majors seem to kind of get along. I think tennis gets along. Baseball gets along. Soccer, the two coaches get along. Let's say that. We'll say that. The two coaches get along. It's a conference rivalry also. You can't take anything away from it. And then you have basketball, where I don't think they wanted to play that series anymore anyway. And I was there, actually there at that presser when Bob and Dan kind of maybe had that disagreement. I think Dan was ultimately trying to say, hey, look, I think the administrations are scared. It's probably bad. They feel like it's bad if you lose to Marshall. It's basketball. And Bobby took that as, I'm not scared. Why am I scared? And I think that was just sort of a way to get out of that series. Because it didn't impact just the men. It impacted the women as well. And I know the women aren't scared to play Marshall. They got a tremendous program. They'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime. And if the men don't get together, I'd like to see the women kind of resume that. I'd make that home and home, though. I try to start with the women because you got Coach Folks has really got that team going. And so West Virginia, really strong in women's basketball. If Marshall wins against West Virginia, it's a good win for the Herd, but it's not ultimately shocking, I don't think. If Marshall loses to WVU, it's a good win for WVU because Marshall's basketball team has honestly gained a lot more credibility over the last few years, especially under Coach Folks in her second year. She's really, I hate to say this, turned the team around from the transition here. But you go to the NCAA tournament a couple of years ago, and you've got a team that's contending for the top spot in the conference and at least a top four finish. Also, could win the tournament, go to the NCAA tournament as well after the tournament win in Pensacola, if you get that far, right? So I'd like to see the kind of series get together again. Yeah, I'd start with women's sports. Why not? I don't think it would be as splashy as the men getting together, but at the same time, sort of be like a low-key backdoor into that. Marshall, WVU, I would play that home and home. Or, like, look, We'll come to Morgantown, then you come to Huntington, and we'll flip that. We'll do that for a couple of years, see how it goes. I would absolutely see that series start up again in women's basketball, and maybe you can work it to the point where the men will maybe play. I don't know if WVU's coming to Huntington on the men's side. I don't know. And if it's just one-sided with Marshall always going to Morgantown, then I don't think that's viable. Charleston wasn't that much better, to be fair about it, because it never felt like a 50-50 split, maybe 60-40. There were some years where it was definitely more than 60-40. And I would hope that at one point you can get these series going again. I'm not even going to start on football. Two different worlds right now with the way that college football is going, the way that the conferences are aligning themselves. I don't see that happening anytime soon, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay. I really don't want to see another scenario where the governor locks the athletic directors in a room and says, all right, you're going to have to play. Make it work. Because then it's forced. Because you're forced to play it. You didn't come to it naturally. Nobody's happy about it. If the two sides can agree to make this thing happen, great. If not, you know what? Marshall football will do its thing. WVU football will do its thing. But in basketball, I'd really like to see the series resume. It was more competitive. I think the women's side, that might be the best place to start. Then we'll work our way up to the men's side. Or would you never, ever want to see that series again? What do you think? 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. This is The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Injured in a fall? Warner Law Offices is now here for you in Huntington on 4th Avenue across from the courthouse. Personal, local, decades of experience.
Call 345-6789.
Mike Rowe here with another random fact. Those cracks on your walls aren't just cosmetic. They could mean your home is sinking. Whether it's drywall cracks, exterior cracks, or sticking doors or windows, do yourself a favor. Call Groundworks. I spent some time working with these guys, and they're the real deal. Their people are trained and certified to stabilize your foundation. Baker's Waterproofing and Basement Authority of West Virginia are now Groundworks. Schedule a free inspection.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
This is Marshall head basketball coach, Corny Jackson, and it's time to turn up the energy in the can.
There's a new Sun Belt Conference record for most three-pointers in a game. Marshall is 24 of 44 and leads at 107-54.
Sun Belt Conference play is heating up, and your Thundering Herd are right in the middle of the battle. Up next at the Cam, Marshall hosts South Alabama, Monday, February 16th at 7.
Get your tickets today at herdzone.com, and let's keep the Cam rolling.
Welcome back to the Dog Show. Up next, we have Satchmo. Satchmo is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right, a group known especially for their couch-snuggling, ball-chasing, face-licking, tail-wagging, backyard-hanging, and, of course, companionship.
And what breed would you say Satchmo is?
I'd have to go with maybe a lavish terrier hound chihuahua-looking kind of mix.
Tremendous dog.
I'd also like to point out Satchmo's coloring, a white, gray, brown, black brindle, simply marvelous.
You know, it's such a treat to watch a dog like this.
Now, let's see him in action.
Look how he makes eye contact with his person.
That's actually known as the treat stare.
How intuitive. And now he appears to be excitedly turning in circles.
Ah, the happy dance, so common with this group.
And finally, the loving face lick.
It's great how he just gets in there and, well, licks.
Fantastic. But really, the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Satchmo is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
It's been a trying year for parents. They've been confronted with countless challenges and have always risen to the occasion. If it isn't too much to ask, the 35,000 high school student athletes in West Virginia have one last request.
Please, set an example.
Disorderly fan conduct at high school athletic events is on the rise. It increasingly involves parents. There's no question that parents are passionate. There's no question they care about their children. But at a time when we're all wound a little more tightly than usual, it's worth remembering this about West Virginia high school sports. Always be a good example. Stop unruly fan behavior before it starts.
This message presented by the West Virginia Secondary School Activities Commission and the West Virginia Athletic Directors Association.
Hi everyone, I'm Kristen Bell, and I invited you here to my hotel room to talk about your cheeks. Your big, beautiful cheeks. Get your mind out of the gutter, I'm talking about swabbing them. Did you guys know that each year 20,000 Americans with blood cancer are searching for their life-saving marrow match? Can you even believe that? I mean, people need marrow, you guys, and we have it. So here's how we can help. It's really, really simple. All you have to do is swab your cheek, this cheek. Then go to Gift of Life Marrow Registry. It's so easy, anyone can do it. And in case you're wondering, if you're a match, donating, it's a lot easier than you think. So wherever you are, go ahead and swab that cheek. Go to giftoflife.org and get a free kit sent to your home, or find a donor drive in your area so that you can swab a cheek and save a life. It's only a minute of your time, but it can give someone else the rest of their life.
Hi, this is Dave Wilson, host of Metro News Talkline, and you're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
We continue with your February 12th edition, The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We got a final from Group C play, preliminary round, USA Hockey taking on Latvia, and the United States just win 5-1, so 1-0 in Group C play. They look good. Had a couple of goals even called back. One was overturned because of a offsides and one because of alleged goalie interference. But the USA off to a good start, 5-1 in Group C. Our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That's our number to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Texture says, Paul, I didn't give up on the Herd last night, but for a minute, I was stewing on what kind of text I was going to send today if they got blown out again with the sideways laughing emoji. It ended up being a great game, but we still need consistency. Go Herd. Yeah, I agree. Appreciate the text. You're spot on. Consistency is the problem. You're 3-10 in first half in the three-point line. I'm not saying that's the reason why you lost. I mean, they were 3-5. Old Dominion shot 60%, 3 of 5. Marshall shot 3 of 10 for 30%, and that added to your shooting woes, 14 of 30. Second half, you're 16 of 26, but it's a higher percentage shot because you're 62%, so you're making more. 7 of 10 from the three-point line. And I really didn't even go over and highlight some of the other things that we saw. That, one, Marshall just for the longest time could not figure out how to stop this team from going inside. Old Dominion got 40 points in the paint. Marshall ended up with 34. Marshall, however, found ways to turn points off of turnovers. Marshall committed 10 turnovers. Old Dominion committed 9. Marshall had 18 points off turnovers. That includes 4 steals. So Marshall had 10 turnovers, had 4 steals. Old Dominion committed 9 turnovers, also had 4 steals. But the Thundering Herd, 18 points, manufacturing 18 points off turnovers. That was big. Second chance points, 11-2 in favor of Old Dominion. Fast break points, and this is where when Marshall is really cooking, it can score. 17-10 there in favor of the Herd. Bench scoring is push, 18-17 in favor of Old Dominion. 40 points in the paint, though, for Old Dominion. And the rebounding, it was a defensive struggle. Old Dominion got 17 offensive boards. Check that. 7 offensive boards, 7 offensive rebounds, 25 defensive boards, total 32. Marshall could only pull down 4 offensive rebounds, but the Herd got 27 defensive for a total of 31. So Old Dominion out-rebounds Marshall by 1. That's it. Wyatt Fricks, as I mentioned, all his rebounds, and he had double-double. All his rebounds, all 13 of them, came from the defensive side. Eric Harding had 1 offensive rebound. I mean, really, it was Fricks doing most of the work on the boards. Now, there were some key rebounds. Landon had 4, 3 on the defensive side. Also, Jalen Spear had 4, all on the defensive side as well. I look at this, and I figure that if Marshall can adjust quicker, we might not see such a deficit. I mean, Marshall went down 47-34 in the first half. Came back. At one point was down by 17 points and then came back and won that second half 47-32. Texture says, Paul, they are consistent. Consistently bad in the first half and consistently good in the second half. Appreciate the text. That's absolutely accurate. What Corny say? I think it was the last game, wasn't it? Didn't play terrible. Didn't play good. That was the last game before last night. And he kind of alluded to the fact that this team was shell-shocked. I mean, we've got his comments. I don't know if we want to rehash those from last night. I think most of you heard them by now. But just to kind of go over, he basically said that they came out shell-shocked. And so second half, completely different story. They started to speed up. And I think that really helped the Herd, playing a little faster. And Marshall led for a total of 3 minutes and 54 seconds. The game was tied for 1:54. Old Dominion led for 34 minutes and 12 seconds. It was tied twice. There was one lead change. Old Dominion got the lead, held it. Marshall got the lead, won. I'll take it every single time. You only have to win by one. Marshall won by 2. 304-396-TALK. 304-396-8255 is the number to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Start new in 2026. Get a new Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram from the Car Ferry. 25 Ram 1500 3.9% for 72 months and save $12,000 off with 10-year 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. 25 Ram Heavy Duty save up to $10,000. 2026 Jeep Compass $3,500 off. Jeeps. 2025 Wrangler save up to $11,500. Shop 24 hours at markportercdjr.com or markporterjeep.com. 25 Jeep Gladiators save up to $6,000. 2026 Jeep Wagoneer up to $6,000 off. Ram and Jeep have already lowered their prices thousands of dollars, so shop us again. They know they raised their prices too much and fired the guy who did it. Now is the time to save, and Mark Porter is the place. 2025 Ram ProMaster save $7,000. 26 Ram 1500 save up to $10,000 off. 26 Dodge Durango save up to $4,500 off. 2026 Pacific Minivans $4,500 off. Come to Route 32 Mayhew Road, Jackson, Ohio, or Route 7 and Laurel Cliff Road, Pomeroy, Ohio. Over 200 available. See it markporterram.com. Save now. Sale ends February 2nd.
Metro Community Federal Credit Union now brings you all the tech that big banks have, but still has that personal touch of a member-owned community credit union. Apple Pay? Got it. Digital wallet? Yep. Message pay by text, online loan payments, even chatting with a real person, not a bot. Open accounts, sign documents, and manage your money all online. It's the big bank tech you need from the local community-minded credit union you trust. Metro Community FCU. Visit metrocommunityfcu.com today.
Cold weather's on its way, and what do you want on those cold, chilly evenings? A warm blanket and a hot cup of cocoa. Well, you know who else wants the same comfort? Mice. Messy, uninvited guests. They sneak in and leave droppings, chew through your food and packages. Don't let mice take over your home this fall and winter. Call K&B Pest Control. We will kill for your business. Call today, 304-523-4281.
Our Kindred Communications family of stations reminds you of the need for blood donations to the Red Cross. Blood is always needed. It may save your life or the life of a loved one. This reminder is brought to you in part by
Baum Lumber, your place for quality roof trusses, building materials, hot spring spas, lawn equipment, and more. See baumlumber.com. Jerk Riley's with 2 great locations, Greenup Avenue in Ashland and Pullman Square in Huntington. Eat, drink, play games, and be merry. It's always a party at Jerk's. Kindred Communications is proud to welcome WSAZ to our family of stations. When you listen to your favorite Kindred station, you'll hear the trusted voices from WSAZ you know, with the WSAZ First Alert forecast and the latest news. WSAZ and Kindred Communications, working together for the Tri-State.
Looking for midweek fun? Head to Frank's Place, where every night's a party. Wednesdays are full of brains and brews with trivia night. Grab your crew and show off what you know. Thursdays, crank it up with Singo Bingo. Music meets bingo for prizes and laughs. Then Fridays, we hand you the mic for karaoke night. Sing your heart out and start your weekend right. The fun never stops at Frank's Place. Great drinks, great friends, and good times. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check them out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I'm 19 years old, and this is how I live united. I've always been kind of a computer geek, and I found a way to use those skills to help the homeless in my community. For people facing hard times, computer skills and a basic resume are so important. It may seem like a small thing, but it makes a huge difference in people's lives. So with United Way, I created a program where I work with the homeless. Together, we go through their whole job history, write a resume, and then save it on their very own USB drive. We provide workbooks and training certificates. I even budgeted for cupcakes so we can celebrate as a class when one of our people gets a job. That's huge. When somebody says, "Hey man, that job that you helped me apply for, I got it." That's what Living United feels like to me. My name is Dale Pazinski. I help people achieve financial independence. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Well, I finally improved my credit score.
What? The band is about to be discovered. Rock gods don't need to worry about credit scores. We're supposed to think about how many guitars we've smashed, make ridiculous on-tour requests, tragically break up and blame creative differences.
Yeah, I'm not banking my retirement on a band that's never left your garage.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Final chance for your text today, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Paul Swann, your host on today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Women's basketball action tonight. Sunbelt play. Marshall at 20-6. Playing host to Georgia State, 9-15 overall. The Herd is 10-3 in Sunbelt action. Georgia State is 4-8. The Marshall women are also in a situation where it's looking pretty good for the tournament. Much better than it was last year. Of course, it went on that tremendous run and won 4 straight. That tournament is designed to chew you up. And the Thundering Herd right now only a game back of Georgia Southern and Arkansas. Both teams are 11-2. Detroit Trojans are a half game back ahead of Marshall at 10-2. Marshall is one of 2 teams with 20 wins on the regular season. Troy can join the Herd. Georgia Southern, a couple of games to go. Thundering Herd on a 3-game win streak. James Madison is catching up as well on a 5-game win streak. Thundering Herd tonight in action, Cam Henderson Center. And of course, just a reminder, we're going to have from the Sun Belt Conference Tournament, we're going to have all the play-by-play action of Marshall women's basketball. So if they're in the semis, championship, quarterfinals, they fall to one of those mid-week spots, we got you covered. We'll have it here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. And of course, the men will be on 93.7 The Dog, along with right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So the Thundering Herd basketball tonight. It gets really busy tomorrow. Softball is in action, taking on FIU and Florida. So going to the Florida Classic. Going to play 5 games in 3 days. You got Georgia Tech. You got number 5 Florida. You have FIU all on the schedule. And then tomorrow as well, baseball in Kennesaw, Georgia, beginning its season, taking on Evansville. So baseball is here. Do you believe baseball is here? We just had a snow and ice covered baseball field, 2 days ago? If it wasn't for the warm weather we got a couple of days ago, I'd still be surrounded by ice at my house. I don't know what your situation was, but my walkways were terrible. The entire roadway, because again, I'm in the city of Huntington, so to try to get out of my driveway, I have a side street. This isn't a shot at the city. You can take it as such, but they're not touching the brick side roads. And so, like you, if you live in Huntington, some roads better treated than others. Unfortunately for a lot of people, they did not see the salt trucks. Of course, I did see that the main ways finally were kind of opened up, and then when that sun hit, we finally got out of our houses fully. But that's another time. The whole point is that we were surrounded by snow and ice, and it's now baseball season. Saturday's going to be a really busy day as well. I mean, we're going to have baseball, softball, women's basketball, men's basketball. We got a lot of things happening coming up this weekend. The calendar is full. The only time Marshall doesn't have an event on the calendar, will be the 25th and 26th. So the February calendar is jammed between now and the end of the month. And of course, 25th and 26th, the only off days there. And then March, just depending on what the tournament schedule looks like, we could have games all week long. Hopefully, the Thundering Herd is not playing early in the Sun Belt tournament. That would definitely be a boon for this team. Marshall can get hot, win out both ways. Possibly we're talking a top spot. Again, Marshall's out one game. Both sides, one game. Wouldn't that be something if both the men and women could pull it off and win the regular season crown? Has that ever happened? Oh, it had to have in the 80s. I'm going to have to look that up or get somebody to look that up. It had to have happened in the 80s. There were some good women's teams in the 80s. It had to have. More than once. Because that was basketball. That was when basketball was king in the 80s. I'm going to have to look that up. See if Marshall's been in a situation where it has won the regular season crown in both men's and women's basketball in the same season. If you know that, let me know. If you've got the firsthand knowledge, you remember that, let me know so I can know, basically what I'm saying, so I can know there. We're going to be back with you tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930 as we have got Friday coming up. The Herd getting set for a road swing at Georgia Southern. Marshall basketball at the Cam Henderson Center going on in the next few minutes. Going to be a big one on Saturday as well. So it'll be Valentine's Day. Busy time at the Henderson Center. So if you haven't got your tickets, see, that could be your early Valentine's. You go, it's the Sweetheart Clinic game. The Herd's going to be wearing pink. It's early in the afternoon. You can go to that. Then you do your Valentine's Day dinner, whatever you're going to do. And then you come back home, you turn me on in the radio, you turn the radio on, I talk to you about Marshall basketball, the Herd wins, hopefully, and then you listen to me afterwards. It's a great Valentine's Day. That's how you spend your Valentine's Day. You spend it with me on Saturday night. No, we've got a lot still to come, and looking forward to it here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. And, of course, Marshall games as well on 93.7 The Dog. So if you're going to the women's game on Saturday, don't forget to switch over to the radio side after the game, wherever you're going to be on Valentine's Day. We'll have Valentine's Day basketball for you. Should be fun. And that's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for everyone tuning in. We will do it again tomorrow. Until then, have a great night.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.